And here I am again to talk to another fantastic speaker about the future of the Health Professional Symposium that is coming to you on the 18th and 19th of September, depending on where you live in the world. But I have an incredible lineup of speakers who have all said yes, who have all said, Joe, I want to be a part of this amazing thing that you've got going on, and who have got really, really thoughtful things that they have to say and ways that they have thought about how we're going to future-proof ourselves. So this morning, I have the privilege of speaking with Jill Johnson-Young, and we're just going to work out how to get Jill here with us. There we go. We send the invite, and then she accepts the invite, and it's all going to work, and it's all going to be working fabulously. So there's quite a lot of moving parts when you do a Facebook Live. So the first thing I want to do is a bit of a sound check. So I can see that Jane McNaught, who was our very, very first interview about this symposium, is online. Jane, could you let me know if you could hear me, please? Because that would be really helpful for me to know. Jill, you're here. Awesome. Let me get you on. Woohoo. There we go. There we go. All right. Now I've got the adding. This is going to be great. Jill's no stranger to doing online streaming and all types of interviews. She is an international speaker. She has been in the media in the USA a lot. She's been here in Australia. Hey, Jill. Hello.
Hey there.
How you doing today?
I'm good, except my phone says that I'm waiting for a live video signal.
Well, you're live with me now, so woohoo.
We'll see. Okay.
I've got some really cool feedback coming from you, so if it feels like there's a delay, that's just because I can hear myself twice.
Okay.
That's all right. We can deal with that, Jill. We're nothing if not adaptable.
Flex and bend and semper gumby.
So what's it like by you today? I know you guys have had some extreme heat this week. Oh, whoops. Jill just disappeared. Well, that's very bizarre. Thank you, Facebook or internet or whatever else happened. You just disappeared on me.
I'm back here. Is that better?
That's okay. So Jill, tell me about the weather. How hot is it by you?
Right now it's 106 degrees.
Yeah.
We have fires in 2 parts of our county, and we're going to go on flex alert in about 20 minutes, which means we have to turn our air conditioner temperatures much higher and turn off every single ancillary use of power in the house. So unplug all the plugs and turn off all the lights until after 9 p.m.
Oh, heck, that sounds disastrous. So thank you for being live with me right now in the midst of all of that. As an Australian who lives in a bush fire or forest fire prone area, I get the seriousness of what you've just said. So let's get on with this, shall we?
So we have to live through it, and it's much quieter and calmer when it's dark.
Yeah, that is very true. And I guess all the oodles in your home are a little less, boisterous.
Passed out.
Very cool. So Jill, you are a prolific author. You've written quite a few books. You're a speaker, you're on media, you've got courses, you've got a 7-figure business that's in multiple sites. You've just, I think you've got 7 schools that you're now delivering into in your counties where what's it like to be an overnight sensation?
Overnight would not be the word.
How long have you been doing this, Jill? How long have you been at this?
We opened our practice in 2010 in the middle of the biggest recession since the Great Recession, and discovered that that's a really good time to open a private practice, as a matter of fact. And we've been going like gangbusters ever since. I spent part of my day today getting my staff ready to do another program, and one of our associate staff is the one who's actually written the curriculum for it. So it's super exciting to see not just Sherry, Shockey Pope, and myself, doing the things, but to see our staff coming up and taking on and putting things together, it's really remarkable to watch.
Yeah, it's fantastic, isn't it? I have, you've been in my world now for what, 7, 8 years, and having the opportunity to meet you when it was basically just the Jill and Sherry show, and now it's grown into something like, what, how many staff have you got now?
I think we're at 37 therapists and staff together. Yeah.
Yeah. And in amongst all of that, you've written books. Tell us about your books.
I started with just one workbook because I do so much grief work, and I wanted something to represent how I do grief so that other people who can't work with me could access it. Not quite so humble there, Jill. Just, this is something that needs to happen and people need. And I put that together, and it was just a really natural fit for me. So I wrote a few more. So now I've got children's books for what happens before someone dies, children's books for what happens after someone dies. I've got one for kids about a pet dying. It makes me cry when I read it, and I wrote know how it ends. But it's a really good book. They all have help for adults in the back. And then I have the workbook, and I have the Rebellious Widow, which is the how to get through end of life with a partner or someone you love, and how to get through the dying process, and how to come out on the other side. And then there's a sketched out this week. So those are going into shape in the next few months.
Oh, wow, Jill. I know the grief work that you do has been so profound for me, because I had some pretty incredible death occur since we've met, and just having you in my corner, helping me understand what was going on, and understanding that the way grief, the stages of grief, the way we're supposed to do grief, the parental expectations or the family expectations of grief, I was able to kind of let all of that go and just really embrace what grief was going to look like for me. So thank you, because that's they were questions that you weren't prepared for. So look at you go here, Jill. You're doing great. So let's get to know you a little bit, if that's okay. You're a social worker. You're a licensed social worker. Oh, how long have you been a social worker?
I've been a social worker since I left college. So that's been since 1987. I was the first social worker for our local AIDS project when it was everybody died, and would go to the hospital and pick people up and take them to our shelter because their families didn't want them home. And that's truly where it's such an immersive grief process. That was the one doing the grief with clients, along with our clinical therapists and our nurses and our doctors. And then I also helped the staff because we were losing people right and left. And so if you can do that and come out smiling, you can do grief. And I've been doing it since I was licensed in 2010. I was ready for licensure a decade or more before that, but I got delayed a little bit because one of my wives got breast cancer and then died, and we were adopting kids and doing things, and it just was not convenient to sit for an exam.
Oh, Jill. So it's okay to laugh when we're talking about death and dying, isn't it? It is okay to laugh. And sometimes people forget that. Yeah. I think oncology nurses, because I had a bit of experience with oncology nurses now, they have some of the funniest humor, but it's often in what other people would think would be completely inappropriate. Anywho, so what was your first ever paid job?
I was a house sitter and pet sitter when I was in junior high and high school. The last 2 years I was in school, I rarely stayed home. I managed to work myself up to the higher end of town. And so I rode my bike to and from school, and I got to live in houses where people came and like cleaned and did the lawn, things that was not my world growing up, let me just say. And I was just there to play with the dogs. And it's fun.
Oh, that's incredible. So you turned your passion or your love of puppies into a paid gig for yourself. What a great way to build a side hustle, Jill. Something there for everybody. So now I'm curious, what was the first ever live concert that you went to?
See, and I watched the other lives this week, and everyone else went to cool concerts, and I went to John Denver.
Yay! Did you like it?
Yes, that was my 14th birthday present. My mom took me. We went to a place called the Universal Amphitheater, which is outdoors and has pine trees planted around it. So you're sitting in the darkness with the pine trees twinkling and the moon overhead in the middle of LA. And yeah, it was awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, wow. I think he was an incredible musician. So I think, just being a part of that as a live experience would have been incredible.
Yes.
And I'm pretty sure anybody watching the live right now is singing Country Roads Take Me Home in their head, and they're going to be singing it all day. And we can thank Jill for that.
You're welcome. And Sunshine on My Shoulders. Don't forget that one.
Very, very true. And you can always go to YouTube and find him singing it with Kermit the Frog.
That's right.
That's right. So we've talked a little bit about, some people think you're a bit of an overnight sensation. So how many years have you been working on building your authority in the space of dying, death, and grief and dementia?
I worked in hospice for a long time. I supervised and was a director at a very large hospice and took on that part of my persona there. I created children's grief work and children's grief programming for schools in the South. And then in terms of my private practice, I started building it into exclusively end-of-life, grief, dementia, all of that about 6 years ago. So it's nonstop. It's been a lot of work. There is overnight sensation might work if you're in the theater, but even there, the actors that I've worked with, no.
No. And so I think that, because there's quite a few people who have said, I just want to be like Jill. I just want to have the type of influence that Jill has, but not understanding that you've been building this platform and building this level of influence for 6 years, and you have consistently done it. I think it's one of the things I'm incredibly inspired by and proud of is just how consistent you've been. You've just been so consistent. And your message is always the same. Like, it's not a boring message. It's always, we need to know this, people. We need to know.
We need to talk about it. We need to make death part of life and grief part of life and make grief not last forever. It needs to be something you work through and you come out on the other side. And even while you're grieving, you get to laugh while you cry, and you still get to eat ice cream because you're allowed because you got the grief card. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. I still use that. My mum passed away 13 years ago, and I'll go, yep, it's I'm eating ice cream because my mum died today.
That's right.
So why do you think as health professionals we need to get good at this? Why is this such an important message for us to be teachers? So because we've got physical therapists and physiotherapists and occupational therapists they're not dealing with death and dying all the time. But why do you think this is important for every health professional to get better at?
Because they are dealing with it all the time. You may be the therapist for somebody who's not dying, but someone at home is sick, or they're thinking, what happens if this doesn't work out? Or they're grieving the loss of the use of whatever body part or their health. I'm amazed still that it took till 2020 for everyone to say, oh my gosh, death really does happen to everybody. And then I watched as folks who wanted to step back from it started saying, oh, they died because they had that complication, or they died because they had that complication. And the reality is we have loss every single day in our lives, whether it's that we're losing our car keys, or we have lost a pet, or it's the anniversary of mom's death, or it's, whatever it is, or Facebook has decided you need to remember this loss today that actually 11 years ago, right? Or you need to remember the adoption day of your child or your dog, and you don't have that child or dog anymore. And so there's a loss. Loss is around us, and we need everybody in every healthcare profession to be able to talk about it and not get freaked out about it and not run away from it. We need to walk into it.
Wow. Because it's like you said, it's everywhere. It's not going away.
No, it can't go away. It is the one universal experience. I mean, there's birth, but none of us remember it, I hope. I know people practice that, not me, but we all experience loss, and we experience it over and over again. Even, the first day we go to kindergarten, how many therapists have we watched crying over kids walking into school? And therapists and other people who didn't have kids to walk into school because they lost that pregnancy. Right?
Yeah,
we
wow.
talk about that, and we need to. So I do, and I'm not going to stop talking about it until everyone else is comfortable talking about it and can say the word death without falling over.
Yeah. So if we're not addressing dying, death, grief in our practices, if it's just not something that we're even aware of because, our niche is young mums or our niche is sports people, what type of disservice are we setting ourselves up for?
We are leaving the conversation out, and we are not helping them identify the losses that they have, the multiple losses that they have had, and that they have coped with some of them spectacularly well, or that some of them are still in the back of their head. And so this loss they're coming to see you for, that they don't even know they're coming to see you for, is now becoming a bit more than it should be, because there are all these other losses that nobody talked about. Like, the TV show Friends is still very big, at least here. And when Ross is talking about, but our dog went off to the big farm and played, and his sister is rolling on the floor saying, oh, come on, you really believe that? Right? We have all these losses and we don't talk about them. Our intake forms don't ask about them. When we're listening to a client's story, we cut them off before they get to them. We need to stop that.
Wow. And in the symposium, where you're going to be talking into this issue a little bit more, what can people expect to come away from your presentation being able to do?
They're going to have stuff ready in their office to be able to bring out the grief and the loss, to name all the losses, because there are so many. I know Debbie's probably going to touch on that too in hers, but more from the personal perspective. And they're going to learn how to make their practice more amenable to loss, and how to do their paperwork to look for loss, how to train their staff to ask about it. All the things that we should have been doing all along, but they never taught us in grad school. And most therapists have been shy about ever since.
Yeah. And for me, this death, dying and grief piece is so significant, and I see there's such a missing link that I've got two fantastic speakers coming on to share different perspectives around the same topic. One to speak into getting you ready to be able to talk about grief, death and dying, and one to actually start recognizing what's turning up for yourself that's stopping you from wanting to take this on. Because I've seen it as well. People just don't want to talk about it. They don't want to acknowledge that it's happening. And then we go, we need to find you a grief therapist. Or well-meaning people go, you're in denial. You've got anger coming. Wait for the anger. And I'm just like, yeah, okay, how about we stop saying that garbage? Because it's been misused. It's not garbage. That's just been taken out of context. Anywho, Jill, let's move on, because you and I can talk about that all day, every day. All righty. So if people wanted to get to connect with you or purchase a book or find out more about your courses that you've got before we start on the 18th and 19th of September, what's the best way for them to get in touch with you?
Oh, I am such a social media person, and I never thought I would say that, but here I am. So you can find me at my practice at centralcounselingservices.com, or you can find me at jilljohnsonyoung.com. That site has tons of resources, because I'm still a social worker. And it has lots of podcasts and things I've been on. So folks who are looking for something to listen to can find it there. And then at therebelliouswidow.com, you'll actually find a downloadable medical notebook to help you care for someone who is facing an illness and or end of life. And there's also downloads for working through grief. So all the places, plus I'm on Instagram and all the other things. And then you can find me on the Friday Grief Chat on Facebook every Friday at 10 p.m. Pacific. That is a chat I do with Deborah Joy Hart, and we just chat with guests and other people and talk into grief for half an hour just because we can.
I think it's wonderful. And I'm so pleased you said yes to being a part of this symposium. I have learned so much from you. So I'm so grateful for the opportunity to be able to help you get your message out. So the link to the symposium or the waitlist for the symposium will turn up in the comments below. Won't happen immediately because I've got to go and make all of that happen. But we are really looking forward to bringing more of Jill Johnson's young goodness and awesomeness to you. So get ready, be prepared, mark it in your calendars. Thanks, Jill.
Thank you.